Welcome to the Money Maven Project podcast. If you're here to learn how to obtain freedom over your time and money through real estate investing, you're in the right place. Create the life you want by living with intention and becoming a Maven in mindset, money, and real estate. Now, here's your host, Justin Monk.
All right, hey, this is Justin Monk with the Money Maven Project podcast. Super excited to have Flipp Zweig on again. Now, Phil, you were one of my first guests way back when we started this podcast, and I'm super excited to have you back on here. You've kind of made some big moves, and we're interested to hear what's going on, man. So welcome back, FlipMan.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I'm glad to get to hang out with you for a little bit, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, the FlipMan is hanging out in a Home Depot parking lot right now, getting work done, taking care of things. So that's pretty awesome. Being out in the field, getting things done. But for the listeners that haven't heard the first podcast when you were on, maybe just give us your background, kind of where you started and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. So this is my 22nd year. I came out to Arizona from the Midwest and went to school, Arizona State, and didn't get a degree in real estate, but I thought I was going to be a physical therapist. Didn't work out. I ended up getting a sales job with a Fortune 100 company called Automatic Data Process. Well, I sold copiers first door-to-door business, and then after 2 years of getting beat up doing that, I got into a Fortune 125 company, Automatic Data Processing. Loved the sales training and everything, but didn't see a giant future working for a big corporation. So had a mentor while I was at Automatic Data Processing, and he was doing rentals at the time. And he showed me that business model. And so I bought a couple of houses while I was with corporate America. And then about 6 months later, I just wanted to start my own thing. And, it wasn't easy the first 2 years, but I did my first flip and made like $1,000 and probably did everything wrong. But I was so excited to get into have my own business.
Yeah, that's awesome. So where are you at today?
Oh man. So I guess I'm doing great today, but real estate, the financial crisis of was that 2008. So I made a ton of money, in the early 2000s. I lost most of it in 2008, 2009. I fortunately met two Canadians who brought all their students that they were teaching to invest in the United States. So for 3 years, I was pretty much the guy in the streets for the Canadian folks and survived. And, after that, I was able to save enough cash to get back into fix and flipping. And, I've done over 1,000 flips, wholesale deals in my career. Had a ton of rentals, lost them, but, I built that back up. And last year, I got into the short-term rentals, and it's a game changer, bro. So I'm going full force this year into the short-term rental business.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's kind of where we focus today because I'm super intrigued. You're thinking that this is like the next thing. This is the future of real estate investing. So tell us more about your experience so far with the short-term rentals.
I just love the fact that it's a real business. So it's money while you sleep. I feel like, Justin, it's the new technology, the wave, the 10X stuff where you could really just kill it on your returns. And I had a couple mentor friends of mine prior to getting into the short-term rentals that, I'd meet for coffee and just pick their brains before doing my first one. It took about, 4 or 6 months or something. But they're one of my buddies, he's been doing it 10 years. The other buddy's been doing it 3 years. And I mean, they do extremely well with it.
Yeah. So give us an example of how the money is different, how there's more, you're able to make more on the short-term rental versus like a long-term rental.
Right. Because my goal always, Justin, was like, all right, fix and flip, make a good annual income through your fix and flips, but through that, pick up rental property as you go. Mm-hmm. So I've done that, and it just seems so slow as far as like managing. Like there's some things I the old school mentality, I guess, Justin. You buy a piece of property, you rent it out, you get the appreciation, you get the depreciation of your taxes. It goes up in value. Eventually in 20, 30 years, you pay it off or whatever. So even buying with deep discounts, man, I would cash flow maybe $200-$300 a month. And mm-hmm. There's a lot of headaches that go in. I didn't always self-manage, but like I had property managed for a while, but then I started self-managing, and I had my systems down. But, I don't know about Utah where other people stay, but like in Arizona, people stay for a year or maybe 2 years. So you're always getting into that property. You're, new carpets, there's upkeep that you have to do every few years. So it seems very antiquated as far as the, I'll buy 20 properties and I'll get that passive cash flow, which is great. But I mean, I don't know how much cash flow you could get on some of these properties. I mean, I was getting $400, $300, whatever. But like now the cash flow's like, I saw your 10X. I mean, I'm not that good with math, but I don't know how many X I'm making right now every month. It's crazy.
Well, just because you've taken some of your properties and turned them into the short-term rentals. And your book, I think you had a post the other day of like, it was, I can't remember what the numbers were, but they were ridiculous, of just like one stay. It was like several $1,000s or something.
Yeah. I mean, so the first one I did was last year about this time. And it was a doctor and his wife. They were getting a divorce, but they owned that unit by the Sky Harbor Airport for 8 years. It had already been an Airbnb. It's just it's built in 1966. The grounds are beautiful and the location is prime. So that was a positive, but it's nothing special. It's like 1,100 square feet. And if I paid $189, and that's pretty much retail for those townhomes, but I did it because it was already an established business. They showed me the financials, the numbers. I'm like, dang, that makes a lot of sense to just, buy it and close. And then 2 or 3 days, or I think it was about 3 days later, we had our first guest. I just changed out the sofa and that was pretty much it. But to give your listeners an idea, Justin, the rent, if I were to traditionally rent that townhouse, maybe get $1,300 a month. And I mean, HOA is $240 over there. If you got a loan on it, your loan's $800-900. I mean, there's not really any cash flow, but like right now, I'm getting $200 a night. Like it's booked. Like one family, they actually came from Utah. They moved to Arizona and they hadn't even looked at homes. They're like, oh, we'd like to stay for 25 days. And they ended up staying like 60 days. And so they finally found a home. But I mean, 60 times 200, that's 12 grand in 60 days. And
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that with a traditional rental. That's impressive.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it gets looked at like for my rentals, I was horrible at ever checking up on them. Like I would just be like, oh, they paid rent. They must be taking care of it. And as you know, it always, you got to really watch it, but you get busy and, I just slacked a little bit and you go in and the place needs a complete reno. So what I like about the Airbnb, Justin, is the housekeeper. I inherited her. She had already been working for these people for 8 years. So she knows the unit. She's eyes for it. She takes pictures after each guest. If they stay there for 2 days, she'll take a picture, so she always tells us what's going on and they get cleaned like all the time. So,
yeah, I'm sure that like when you're just there for a 5-day stay or something, your use and abuse of the property is a lot lighter, right? You're not, you're not, half the time you probably don't even unpack your bag. You just live out of your bag. You might turn on the dishwasher. It's a lot lighter use for sure when they're just there, because on vacation, they're there and they might be there in the morning, then they're out during the day, not even hanging out. So I can see 100%, the property lasting longer. Yeah, that's interesting.
And they, again, you get reviewed as far as the standards, the cleanliness, everything, and they get reviewed too. So as a guest, they don't want to have a bad review. So in my eyes, they want to take care of your property. And most people are good anyway. They're, like you said, they're just in and out and, they just want somewhere nice to sleep.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. So if somebody's trying to, get into this, into the short-term rental stuff, where do they kind of start? What's your first steps, recommendations to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, definitely have to, people ask me about location. So what I'm doing right now, Justin, this will be interesting for your viewers to follow me because I'm in it's Glendale, and Glendale is where the Arizona Cardinals play, but there's some areas that are a little more blue collar, a little more not, they're older areas, let's say. Yeah. So what I'm doing right this year is I'm turning existing rentals into Airbnbs. So this one is not in a area that I've tried before. So I'm excited and a little scared to see, but you never know unless you try. So converting this to an Airbnb. Every state is different, I know. Like I was talking to a buddy out of San Francisco, and I know short-term rentals are very difficult there. Costs are big, so it's a business, and that's what I love about it. So where do you start first? You have to figure out what you want to buy, what area. Most of all of mine, I renovate myself. So I'm down there every few days and so forth. So I wouldn't get them too far from your house if you're going to, renovate and self-manage them. But the app is super easy. Once you get them up and running, I don't do any of that. My daughter, who's, she's almost 18 now, but she doesn't like the word customer service, but she's my manager, I guess. And she does all the bookings and deals with the guests. And so it's super easy.
And are they booking with you through sites like Airbnb? Are you doing this directly with them? How are you getting your properties out there?
Yeah. So soon as we finish, we'll list it on Airbnb. And then, we just recently started on VRBO too. So I'm just going to keep mine on 2 sites, and keep it real simple because I've been very happy with, the occupancy rates of Airbnb. I just wanted to try VRBO to get a few more eyeballs on the properties and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love that. And so what are some tips that you've maybe learned to get the property? Because I know it's huge that you rank high or you show up in the search results when somebody's looking for a place. What have you learned initially here of how to get your property listed and show up well and to show well in general?
Well, again, what they have on there, Justin, it's called Superhost. Mm-hmm. So after each guest leaves, they give you a review out of 5. And if they choose to, some don't always leave reviews, but we're a 4.9 out of 5. So we had one. They were upset about the air filter was dirty, and so it was very minor, but we didn't get 100%. And that happens. I mean, it's very, I guess, people are very. I thought it was clean, but people are very subjective. So what I suggest is we're very good at communication. So if you see it right on your phone, as soon as they send you a message, like hit them up immediately. I did have a problem recently. I like to share with your users or your viewers there. I launched one in Old Town Scottsdale, and what I'm going to do in the future, it's a learning experience. I'm going to stay there for the weekend and test everything before I allow a guest. So I guess one of the tubs had a faulty part on it, and one of the kids was taking a bath, and the water from the upstairs unit came in the downstairs unit. So the tenant from the below, she's like, your water's leaking all in our roof, our ceiling. And so I immediately, responded. I sent someone out there ASAP. We addressed the issue. My daughter's like, Dad, you're going to get a bad review. It's not in your hands after that point. You just do the best you can. And the family left the unit, and they gave us 5 out of 5. And that was rewarding, because I just told my daughter, I said, you know what, problems happen. No one's perfect, but people just like you and I, when we're traveling, we want to be heard, and we want the situation to be fixed as quickly as possible. So people are pretty understanding, I feel. And so, yeah, we got a 5 out of 5 on that. So it's important that you take care of things right away.
Yeah, that's impressive that they, that quickness to respond. And then they were totally cool with it. They understood that the incident was out of your hands, but you took care of you took care of it the best you could. So earning that Superhost status, I'm sure, gets your properties kind of highlighted or they're more exposed, right?
Correct. Yeah, because people, again, and everyone reads reviews nowadays, whether it's a restaurant or word of mouth. That means a lot to. And our goal is to have the guests come back next time they're in Arizona from Utah, or we got a family coming from South Carolina and Michigan. So it'd be great if they came back next year and stayed at our property again, because we took care of them.
Yeah. So when so let's just say an investor's been, well, even like me, right? I buy in Ohio, I buy and hold, I use the Burr method. So I'm shopping for properties very similar to how somebody that's going to flip the property shops. Or I'm looking for distressed sellers, distressed properties, because I need to buy at a discount so that there's room for me to force some appreciation, do a cash out refinance, and get my capital out so I can do it again. Now, if somebody's going to do a short-term rental on a property, do they need to buy at a discount? I mean, maybe that's good, but can they just go get a normal mortgage and pay full price? I mean,
that's a great question. that's a great question, because I, like you, like I was trained in like, oh, I got to get a wholesale deal. I got to get it 60 cents on a dollar. I got to, get these margins. But I bought that one in Phoenix, right by Sky Harbor, and I paid like like I paid what's called retail. And like I don't pay retail for anywhere I go. Like I don't like it, but it was a business decision, and it ended up like making me loads of money. So I was like, there's something to this. Like I don't really need to buy deep discounts if I want to turn these places into a money-making machine. So there is a difference.
Yeah. And I guess, everybody needs to it's all, fairly contingent on your situation. But I guess if you buy at a discount, you always know you have room in the property for market fluctuations, right? Paying top dollar to paying retail does expose you a little bit. As far as if the market comes off a little bit and the market value of the property comes down. But if it continues to make money like that, whatever it was, $200 or $250 a night, pretty sure you're going to be okay on that. Or obviously put more money down, so you've got some equity in the deal. You got some money in it.
I did. I think I put like 40,000 down to get that loan. So, and the other nice thing is, that one didn't need any renovation. So it was turnkey pretty much, just that new sofa, pull out sleeper for $500. So
yeah. Awesome. And when it comes to the rehab, if you are going to rehab, let's just say maybe you have a current long-term rental that you have, and you're going to switch it to a short-term rental. What are you recommending, or what are you doing in the rehab? Are you going like high-end, super nice stuff? Or are you going bare bones?
Good question. It just really depends on area. Obviously, like I'm not going to throw junk in it. Like I want it to be nice, but like for this Glendale one, we're going to get about $139 a night, 3-bedroom. So there's a lot of people that can sleep there, but the community itself, like it's not like my other Scottsdale or my Chandler. It's not as well groomed or maintained. So the only thing I would do differently if it was in my other types of neighborhoods, I would have changed out the ceramic tile, and I would put nice new vinyl. But for this one, I didn't touch the ceramic. I have my grout guy going over there on Thursday. He's going to clean it for about $300 and we'll call it a day. I painted it. So my budget on this, I believe, was like $3,500, which I was pretty happy. I've owned this unit for, I don't know, a decade or so. And I put in new counters about 4 years ago and new cabinets. So they're still fresh and nice. So yeah, that, depending on the area, I would just say, if you want to get top dollar, you got it. Like that Scottsdale one, I spent a little more on the artwork and some other pieces, but people in that area, I feel, will pay the money to stay there. And the location's amazing because it's right by Old Town Scottsdale, which is a lot of restaurants and places for people to go. There's spring training and a lot of things around there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, and I was just barely like booking the trip for myself the other day, and I was more interested in the properties that looked more high end, nicer furniture, nicer places. Cause I'm on vacation. So I want to treat myself to a little bit of luxury. I know maybe if it was a business trip, I wouldn't care, but I'm like, this is a trip for me and my wife without our kids. We're going to spend a little extra, and we're going to get something super nice that's super clean. It's got a little bit of luxury to it. And so I can see how that would definitely pull in more money and potentially catch the eye of people that are looking at different properties.
Yeah, 100%. And like you say, newly renovated, and that catches my eye too. And it's like, people want to be taken care of when they're on a trip. Like you said, if you're with your wife or you're with, a special occasion or whatever, and you want something nice. So the other thing that's really interesting, Justin, is people right now, and I'm not sure how your state is, but right now, people don't want to stay in even the nice resorts in Scottsdale. Like their bookings are so low. So they'd rather go where they have their own space. Like they're not connected in the hallway to anyone. And so that's really why I feel strongly about, maybe we'll never get back to being around all those people at a hotel. So they like that, separate space living area.
Yeah, it's and I'm by no means a short-term rental expert. I'm definitely not an expert on that. But I was speaking to some experts, I will call them, on a clubhouse room or whatever. And part of my question was, how did they get through COVID? Because I read a Wall Street Journal article that said Airbnb is going up. Everybody's losing money. Everybody's got mortgages on all these properties. They're all just going to take it, right? And so I asked them, and they're like, yeah, don't believe everything you read in the Wall Street Journal. We fared out pretty well. Yeah, maybe there was a little glitch there for a couple of months. But like you said, really quickly, people were like, I want to get out of New York City or wherever, and I'm going to go to an Airbnb, and I'm going to work from the Airbnb, just like I was working from my office or from home here. And so now all these people were escaping the COVID issues and just going to these Airbnbs and staying for a month at a time. And he was saying it actually, the good news about Airbnb, short-term rental investors never made it to the paper, but these guys it actually turned out really well for us.
100%. You're 100% accurate, because I remember we had 2 months we had a lag. So I had a friend of mine, she's like, I'm moving somewhere. So I just literally gave her like the rental rate of like $12.50 for that one by Phoenix. And so I was okay, but I there was just like 2 months. But after that, like we had healthcare workers, we had a lot of people coming to that unit. And I did get a little worried. So I was going to buy 4 others from this owner. And I didn't go through with that. They still have them. So I'm still looking maybe to buy them out. But again, it's very interesting how the media portrays some stuff that's not, it's not accurate. It's not, because my 2 buddies, the same thing. They're like, yeah, we had a little blurb for 2 months, but like after that, like we've never had such good summer or such good occupancy.
Yeah. And now you have, me and my wife, we thought about like going to Mexico or something for a trip, and we're like, we're not going to do that. We don't want to deal with apparently you have to get tested before you come back across the border. It's like $200 a person. If you do test positive or have a fever of any kind, you're there for like another 2 weeks paying for some hotel room. So I'm like, we're not going to risk that. Let's go local. I live in Utah. Utah has some gorgeous, mountain ranges and remote areas. Like, hey, let's just go to Moab, Utah. We'll grab an Airbnb, and that'll be our spring trip. And so I think a lot of people they want it now. I've been reading that the trends are, I don't want to get on a plane with a bunch of people breathing everybody's COVID air, right? So can we do it in the car, which usually, people are comfortable 2, 3, 4 hours in the car, maybe 5 or 6 hours from home. And now they're wanting to do these shorter distance vacations or workcations, people are calling them. They're going to go to some remote place and do a little bit of work as well as vacation. And they're wanting them more around these large cities, 2 or 3 hours within 2 or 3 hours of a large city. And that's what's, again, it's this new wave, this new trend of how people are moving around and vacationing and things like that, which works perfectly for short-term rentals. So I think it's interesting that that's a trend.
You hit it on the head, and I mean, again, we're in the game of always adapting. So if I were to do the same thing as I did, for years, like I'm just thinking like, and seeing after the first unit I had, that was kind of an experiment to see, does this short-term stuff really work? And so I made a commitment, like I want to have 8 by the end of 2021, 8 up and running. And in the next, 4 years, I want to have a 32 total, which I feel is achievable. I believe that I should be able to hit those numbers. And I did the math, and I mean, that's like $100K a month in 4 years. So that, that's not a bad way to live. It's
No.
like, yeah. And your properties are appreciating, and, it'll be pretty sweet. So I want to prove it and, have 8 and 16 next year and so forth.
Hey, you still have all the benefits of being a real estate investor. You've got the loan pay down, you've got the cash flow, you've got the appreciation, you got the tax benefits. Like it's all still there. And it basically it's
right.
It's all there, but it sounds like more cash flow and less wear and tear on your property is what I've kind of been seeing from you and from others that I've spoke to about.
I mean, man, when you get a booking and you wake up the next morning and you got, $8,000 in the bank account, that's pretty sweet. So, I would say I'm more of a conservative investor. I think over the years, that's just my stat mode. Like, I've always bought like bread and butter stuff. So, $350 and under. I like the stuff really cheap. And that I feel if something does happen with the economy, I could always sell this one house to get some money but with luxury, it's just a different mode. I mean, I know people in the luxury space and the numbers are crazy. But I guess for your viewers, they just got to decide what their capacity and comfort level is, because you can do really well in luxury. But I've always enjoyed just the bread and butter stuff.
Yeah. I think paying attention to your particular market, if it's a market that's heavily depending on, tourism, I guess. Tourism is something that can be hurt initially, right when the market starts to swing. So definitely keep your eye out for that. But I mean, people are going to Arizona for work, for play, it doesn't have to be, a tour, like or a trip for tourism. It can be anything. And so you've got potential clients from a lot of different places, regardless of what's going on in the economy.
Very true. And yeah. And so I don't know if you've heard of like sublease or arbitrage, but Kyle does that. He's based out of Fresno. He was out here recently, and he's starting his business in Arizona too. Shout out to Kyle, but he's got some courses on Airbnb, I know, and I met with him. So basically, sublease is like, it's arbitrage sublease, where you will go to the owners that are tired and they don't want to be a landlord anymore. So you basically get their property and act as the set it up for short-term rentals. So that's another strategy. But for me, like, I'm just plugging away doing my thing. But if you still, I think you still need money, capital to get into them, put deposits down, renovate, and the decor. So it's just a way to acquire more properties. It's, there's people doing it that are doing really well at it.
Yeah, it's cash flowing without actually owning any properties. You're just subleasing that. I've heard that's
exactly.
a pretty awesome strategy too. Man, this has been pretty cool. I think there's definitely, definitely to our listeners, don't sleep on this. I think you need to be aware of what's happening in the short-term rentals world, and just have it as a tool in your back pocket. I mean, if you're out there buying flips or long-term rentals, and all of a sudden you see one that could make sense, it's in a nice area next to a hospital or a college or something, try out a short-term rental, and obviously lean on some people. I'm not the expert. FlipMan here has way more experience than I do about it, but there's also, there's a lot of places you can learn about it. Philip, you've done some coaching over the past little bit here, definitely teaching others how to do what you do, both on the flipping side, rentals, all of it. What are some characteristics that you are seeing in the people that are getting things done? Like, what's the common characteristic that you're seeing in people that make progress towards their goals?
Yeah. Again, getting in the game, I think, is the first step. Like, I don't care if you make $500 or you make 20,000. So just set that bar. Like, hey, if I want to flip, I'm going to learn the business. Because there's so many moving pieces to a fix and flip, as you know, Justin, and buying it right is so important. Knowing your back end comps, knowing I made an 11-page document that has every cost. There's like 500 different costs with labor and materials. So, I made that, and you got to know what you paid the subcontractors to fix up things. And one of the biggest things this is for the Airbnb, I forgot to mention, I have a handyman that's been with me for 12 years. So, for example, that issue on the Scottsdale unit, he was there in a heartbeat. So definitely try to find someone that's handy, that will work with you and kind of be your eyes on properties as you own rentals and so forth, to make a phone call, because that's a big deal. If you got someone that knows how to do things that happen in the middle of the night, or it's important to have in your pocket. And then I would say with the fix and flip, set realistic expectations. Don't analyze too much. Just do it. You're not going to be perfect, but just get it under contract. And there's so many things. If you buy it right, as you know, Justin, like, I could wholesale it, I could flip it, I could keep it as a rental. But again, you got to know what you're looking at too, like, and know what the back end ARV, which is what you're going to sell it for on the retail market.
Yeah, perfect. Well, if people want to learn more about you and what you're doing, follow you, where should we send them?
Yeah, I mean, everything has been on Instagram, and then on my bio on Instagram, we got YouTube, we got we do a meetup here in Arizona every month with a keynote speaker. That'll be back in action. But yeah, it's just Flippin_AZ. I check all my DMs, try to, reply right away, just grow it organically. And I've met great people like you, Justin. And I mean, it's pretty cool, Instagram. So yeah, definitely on my Instagram, and that's a great spot. Send me a DM.
Yeah, I've been enjoying all the content as you've kind of showed us what the moves you're making. It's been awesome to watch it, and definitely cool to see you succeed. So appreciate you coming on. Been a great conversation. I think I am definitely more intrigued about the short-term rental stuff. I'm going to try and learn that business a little bit and see if I can grab one for myself. I think that's an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this as a landlord, Justin. Is there any reason why you wouldn't do the short-term versus long-term after, like, reviewing the Airbnb? Is there, like,
no?
What?
No, I mean, the only question I have is if my current rental, my current long-term rentals are in good areas for short term. That's my only question. So
yeah, and I that's a great question too, because I don't know that Ohio market. Like,
right.
You know, are people actually like Arizona? I feel Utah would be good for short-term rentals. I know Florida's amazing. Well, some parts of California were good, but everything kind of took a shutdown over there. But yeah, that's a good question. Do you know any guys in Utah doing the short term?
Not that I can think of. I'm sure I do if I went through kind of my list, but don't know anybody directly.
Yeah. I'll keep my eyes and ears open and let you know, because again, I know there's some states that will, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I just heard like some states are tougher on the short-term rentals, where I feel like Arizona is still the Wild West. So.
Yeah. Well, I think you're onto something, man. I appreciate you jumping on here. We'll wrap this up, and hopefully you keep after those goals, and we'll see you reach them.
Yeah, awesome, Justin. Well, thank you again for having me. And if you swing out to Arizona, you got an Airbnb anytime.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Money Maven Project podcast. A true Maven shares knowledge with others, so be sure to share this podcast and leave a review. Thanks so much, and until next time, live life with intention.